All right, thank you. There's Jamie McLennan, Frankie Corrado, and the insider, Darren Dreger. They say not to read too much into Game 1s. I think it's fair that we can read this into this Game 1. This has the makings of a monumental series between two terrific teams. There's just so little between them, which we see as they play almost 4 full periods. But in the end, the two best players in the world are the difference?
Absolutely. And yes, you get a penalty for the Florida Panthers. You have to make that call. It goes over the glass, so it's puck over glass, and we don't have the song going yet, but ultimately this is what happens. Yeah. Nosix fires it over, and everyone, all the refs in the building, make the call. It's a beautiful play by Bouchard to RNH. Now, Seth Jones on the rotation gets caught really high. Mikkola very aggressive as well. So that allows McDavid and Draisaitl a 2-on-1 down low, and McDavid with a beautiful saucer pass. Lost in all of this, nice little play by Perry to get it to McDavid, who puts it on a tee for Draisaitl.
The interesting thing about this goal is that the Florida Panthers had been 3 for 3 on the penalty kill, and they weren't killing the penalties that way. Like, they weren't over-aggressive. They were kind of just sagging towards the net and saying, we don't want to let seam passes get through. But what was happening was they were not being aggressive, they were being passive, and the passes were still getting through. So I imagine the Panthers looked at that and said, well, if we're going to get seamed, let's just be aggressive anyways, and we'll tip our cap to them because they made the plays. Well, guess what? The Edmonton Oilers made the play, and they made it count.
Yeah, I mean, it's hard to read too much into winning Game 1 in the Stanley Cup Final in overtime, but still, I mean, hasn't that been the theme of the Edmonton Oilers' push through the postseason, is the resolve, right? The maturity that we're seeing in their game and the response. I mean, they were down 3-1 at one point in this hockey game, found a way to battle back, and makes our prep work pretty easy. You know, let's just focus on Draisaitl and McDavid on the Oilers side, and we should be good.
Well, it is a critical statement by Draisaitl, because one of the reasons they didn't win the Cup last year is because the Panthers really shut him down. 0 goals, 3 assists. So for him to start it and end it is significant.
It is significant. It's also significant that Leon Draisaitl is healthy. And that adds a different element to the series this year, because you didn't quite have Leon Draisaitl at his best last year. And so last year, throughout the course of that series, he only gets 3 assists. Well, he gets off to a great start early in the game. And then in typical Florida Panthers fashion, of course they're going to target him. They're going to try and make life difficult for Leon Draisaitl. But you can say this about Draisaitl, because of the frame, the build that he has, and the skill that he has, he blends the best of the physical demands of this series and the ability to break games open. And Leon Draisaitl obviously has that tonight, where he gets the goal to start it, he gets the goal to finish it. This is a significant development for the Edmonton Oilers, because he's healthy and able to withstand everything that this series is going to entail.
He excels in the playoffs because he plays playoff hockey a lot. He invites contact towards him, and then he starts to distribute the puck. So nothing overwhelms him physically. He's big and strong, and he pushes back. And especially when he's in one and when he's really digging in, he's got a little chip to his game as well. So pretty impressive, and a statement game here by Draisaitl.
Interesting overtime, because the Panthers came out flying, had the Oilers hemmed in the first few minutes in their own zone. And then it sort of tilted completely the other way. And it's probably a deserved end, simply because the Oilers had by far the overabundance of quality chances.
There was an undercurrent in overtime of you know, just based on, look, Florida's going to find a way here. There's too much experience on that side. You know, we saw the game that Sam Bennett had, and it was going to be a chippy, in-your-face type of play that could have swayed it in favor of the Panthers. There's Kasperi Kapanen breaking through straight up the middle, and he just goes a whisker wide, just outside that post. He's upset, obviously. He thinks that was game on his stick. And the Oilers kept pushing in overtime. Beautiful opportunity here, the cross-ice pass. Trent Frederick has to extend. He can't quite get enough on it. And then how about Evan Bouchard? I mean, this is in overtime, the wheels that he shows, and the nifty backhand that just kind of rolls off the stick as well. But Edmonton had the higher quality chances in overtime. But again, as I said, it felt like if Florida gets one of those going back the other way, maybe it turns.
As we always do here on the TSN Hot Zone, we'll be bringing you all sorts of post-game reaction. And the first player we have up from the Florida room is Brad Marchand.
Brad, for a team that's been ironclad at closing out teams in the third period for a long time, what stood out about not closing that one out?
I mean, they pushed. They obviously are a very good team, and doesn't take much for them to score. So, I'm not surprised they had the push they did. They're a great team. We just got to keep going.
Anything you can take away from the second period? It seemed like that was the period you guys really owned tonight.
Yeah, I think we did a pretty good job of playing behind them. But yeah, we'll break that down and look at it here tomorrow.
On that, this is just one game. What's the key now to moving on here for game 2?
Yeah, just move on. It's one game. You can't get stuck in the past here. So we'll regroup, refocus, and get ready for the next one.
Tough break for Thomas. Like, as a teammate, do you say anything to him after that?
Yeah, that stuff happens in the game of hockey. It's a bad break. He's been a great play for us all year, all playoffs. So yeah, we have his back though.
To go into the third with the lead, they hold you guys to just 2 shots in the third. Just kind of what was the difference that you thought?
They just pushed. We a couple pucks we didn't really get deep. We're going to be a little bit better at making plays under pressure, getting our legs going a little bit more. We get caught just kind of flipping pucks, and they'd regroup and come back at us. So a little cleaner there.
How surprised were you that they challenged Sam's first goal there?
I'm not really surprised. I didn't really look at the replay, but there was obviously contact, so it's their choice.
Given how strong your structure was in that game, what does it say about just the margin for error out there on the ice?
Yeah, it's a game of mistakes. And who can capitalize on more? 2 great teams out there competing hard. It's going to be a fun series.
To the Oilers room and goalie Stuart Skinner.
Yeah, that's exactly it. I know that these guys have it within themselves to come back from a deficit like that. It's hard to score goals in this league, so I knew that again, it's my job to give the team a chance to win. I was able to keep it at 3, which is obviously huge, and you got to give a lot of props to Bob over there too. He made some fantastic saves, especially in overtime.
Steve, you made some big saves yourself in the third, and then to start the overtime, did you feel like you were getting more comfortable as the game kind of progressed? Or?
Yeah, I felt comfortable right from the get-go, to be honest. I know, obviously, quick 2 goals for them, kind of in the midst of a few minutes, but I felt good right from the get-go. So just comfortable.
We've been waiting for this to start for a long time. Tell us about the opponent. Was that opponent largely different than the opponents you've seen so far in this playoffs?
It's hard to say. As series go on and on, it's a lot more grind. It's a lot more board work. It's a lot more pucks to the net. Especially when we're going in overtime, there's a lot of hockey that's played and a lot of hockey to be played. So that's really a tough question. Everyone gives you a little bit of differences because they're just a different team. But overall, we know how we need to play in order to be successful.
You've seen Connor and Leon do it many times before, but just them stepping up in the third period, Connor with the assist, and then of course.
That was huge. Yeah. Obviously the timing of it too. Minute left. Yeah, I've seen them do it many times. I'm sure, hopefully I'm able to see them do it a lot more.
This is a confident group. You guys go down 0-3 last year. What does it do for your confidence this time around to draw first blood?
Yeah, it's huge. Obviously, when you look back at it, if we get one win, right away, it's a completely different story. So I think the way that we showed up right from the get-go, and the way that we continued to keep on going, even though we were down by 2. That shows a lot of character by us.
Stu, how nice is it to see 14 back?
I'm gonna take yours here.
How nice to see Ekholm back in the lineup in front of you. The thought is on this game tonight.
Yeah, he was moving the puck fantastic tonight. Smart plays, especially when we were getting hemmed in there. Smart player. He's a huge part of our defensive core. Yeah, he scored the game winner.
He does a lot of those in overtime.
Yeah, no, absolutely he does. He's a huge part of our team. He really slows the game down. He's got a lot of patience. The way that he reads the game. His IQ level, I think, is just absolutely incredible.
What's the emotions like when you see the puck go in? You know you won the game.
Yeah, the emotions are high. You're feeling really good. You're obviously ecstatic to get that win, especially in overtime, especially with a minute left, because double overtime is just going to continuously get harder and harder and harder. So the way that we were able to finish it in a timely manner is massive. So you saw that in our faces when we celebrated.
Steve, you guys talked a lot about before the series that kind of had a different feeling leading into the series than last year. At the start of the game, did it feel different than last year, Game 1?
Felt completely different. A bit. For me, anyways, I'm not too sure how it is for the other guys, but when I saw the cup on the ice last year, I was kind of looking at it with googly eyes. And this year, seeing it, it's I was here last year. I saw it already. So now it's time to get back to work and do my thing. So definitely felt completely different just from the emotional wise.
Leon was far
7-1 in his last 8 in the Stanley Cup playoffs, and continues to be one of the more remarkable individual stories after what happened early.
Resilience, that's the one word that comes, and the Edmonton Oilers are very resilient as well, but Stuart Skinner, this could have gone a lot of different ways, especially when Sam Bennett looked like he was going to have a night. And I thought Stuart Skinner, at particular tough situations where they were getting hemmed in their own zone, rock solid. Didn't allow a bad goal tonight. Now, Sam Bennett's second goal, I thought he was a bit deep on the play from a structural standpoint, but it's still a partial breakaway, so you can't really lay it at the goaltender's feet. But in tight, aggressive. That's the one thing in the change of Stu Skinner, since his game has turned around, he's been aggressive, using his size to his advantage, fighting for sight lines. He's done a terrific job, and he doesn't have to steal games. He's got to be 900 or more, and he did that again tonight, 29 for 32 saves.
And there's going to be a consistent challenge for Stuart Skinner playing against the Florida Panthers. We've watched the Panthers play a lot. Yeah. We know everything gets funneled to the front of the net. So there's going to be bodies in front of him. Like, everything kind of gets filtered there. He's going to have to maintain a level of compete, a level of battle. Right. But in this game, we saw that more than maybe it has been in the past. He was willing to battle in those areas.
Yep. You felt like the Oilers needed this game more than the Panthers, which is obviously everybody wants to win Game 1, but the Panthers have already been down in the playoffs. They're poised as defending Stanley Cup champions, and after going down 0-3, it just felt bigger for the Oilers to get this. And not only that, they break that ridiculous streak by the Panthers, 31-0, when leading after 2 periods in the Paul Maurice era. And it's just a stat, but maybe it's more than that to be able to come back in a situation like that.
It very well could be, and this was going to be different than last year. And think about if the Edmonton Oilers lose this first game at home, all of a sudden it's like now you're one bad break in Game 2 away from going into Florida down 0-3. So it did have a sense of urgency for the Edmonton Oilers. And, Mattias Ekholm, this is like making a trade deadline acquisition at the most crucial time in the playoffs, getting Mattias Ekholm back. This is really significant for this group, and leave it to Connor McDavid to make an unbelievable play to set up Mattias Ekholm, who, we heard Stuart Skinner talking about Ekholm and what he brings to the table, but to have him factor in now and have him available for your group is just adds so many more layers to this group and what they're capable to do. This is a huge development, and, obviously Connor McDavid helps facilitate a big goal for Ekholm.
Yeah, and when you look at the time on ice sheet at the end of the night, you see 2 players playing for the Edmonton Oilers with 30-plus minutes time on ice. Evan Bouchard was one with 31 minutes, 51 seconds. Yeah. Pretty good night by his standard with 7 shots, who's a plus player. McDavid, of course, 31-12. But another name that pops off the sheet for me is Evander Kane. And again, you talked about Leon Draisaitl. The difference maybe from last year to this year is a healthy Leon Draisaitl at this point of the Stanley Cup Final. Well, obviously, likewise with Evander Kane, he recorded 9 hits tonight for the Edmonton Oilers. They did not have that same level of punch a year ago against Florida.
You know what it is about Evander Kane? There's a lot of jawing, there's a lot of chirping that happens, and if a guy tells you, I'm going to punch you in the face or I'm going to come after you, there's certain guys, you just can't really say anything. Yeah. You just can't say anything because you might not be able to do it, and your words don't mean as much. When Evander Kane does it and he stands into those situations, it's it actually means something coming from him. He has that pushback in those confrontations.
There's only a few guys in the league that play in that role. I mean, we see Tom Wilson, guys who are top-line players who can back it up physically. Yes, there are guys that are monsters that are on the 4th line. You don't want to put them out there at critical times, But Evander Kane's a top-tier player.
Yeah.
So he can score, he can hit, he can fight, he can do it all. And he is a bit of a unicorn. And he's not shy to chirp out there and get underneath the skin. So he's a terrific addition.
Yep.
And you mentioned health is all about Evander Kane.
One area I think a lot of people gave Florida the advantage was in their depth, maybe the third and fourth lines. But there were some significant contributions from the Oilers end there, including Kasperi Kapanen, who at times was just flying. Here is Kapanen.
Let's not get into that. So, yeah, for sure it is. But yeah, the legs felt good today. So, but yeah, big win for us.
They rarely lose when they have a lead after 2 periods. They never lost anywhere recently. How did you guys tie it, work your way back into it after being down 3-1?
Just keep it simple. I think we just keep it simple and put pressure on them. And you know, their D play a lot of minutes, so just try to stay on them and forward check as hard as we can. And you know, this team, even before I started playing, has been coming back from games like that throughout the playoffs. So we knew if we just keep applying pressure, we got a good chance of scoring, and that's what happened.
How much are you enjoying this game after game?
It's the best days of my life right now, so I'm just trying to enjoy it, and it's a special group, so I for sure want to make the most of it.
What's it like watching back overtime goal? Like, what are you feeling as it goes out?
Just relief. Relief. It was a really hard game today. It was a long one too, and physical, and but it's just very important for us to get that first win. The crowd's been phenomenal and been on our side since day one, so we're getting a lot of energy from that. And but obviously, great to win game 1. We just got to win game 2. It's playoff hockey, so I mean, it's simple as that. They're a good team. They're obviously
they like to hit. That's their game.
Yeah, and that's fine. We like to hit too. We got guys that can hit, so it'll be a fun series.
What do you appreciate the most about Leon's game?
Just the way he leads out there, and it's not just offensively. Obviously, he scored 2 big goals today, but really playing solid D and taking some big face-offs, and then just his 200-foot game is phenomenal. So we're lucky to have him.
What's it been like watching both him and Connor since you got here just go about their business? What we see and maybe what we don't see.
I don't really have words for you guys. I mean, it's just these guys are generational talents and then future Hall of Famers for sure. And I'm just trying to soak it all in and then enjoy this moment right now. And you know, we're not done yet, so we need 3 more wins.
What's the best part of this? Because you said like this is the best days of your life right now. Like, what are you enjoying the most about this role?
Just coming to the rink and playing these games. Listen, my blood pressure is high during the games, and it is nerve-wracking. But as players, this is what you dream of when you're a little kid, to play the Stanley Cup Finals. And in my case, watching my dad play there and just knowing how hard it is and how it was a dream for him and it was a dream for me. And it's just I can talk to you guys for 10 minutes about how I feel about it, but I'm just overwhelmed that we're here.
To the podium, and Panthers coach Paul Maurice.
To get back in this one.
These games are tight. I don't think that you have domination of the third period in tight games. So we're in pretty good shape at 3-1. I think we got some real good pressure. So they get it back, and then we had some plays that we didn't complete. I'm not really particularly worried about those. It's just the ebbs and flows of the game.
Right side, first row. Hey, Paul. I know it's a game of mistakes, but how much of that game did you like? It seemed that your structure.
Pieces. I thought there were some places that we could have controlled the puck a little bit more, and then just the balance between when you can and when you can't. That will be what we'll look at.
Yeah, Paul, you've talked coming into the series just how much a better team they were, and now this is your first time actually getting a look at them in person. They do seem like a much deeper team. I mean, their third and fourth lines made quite the impact today. How much is that more of a challenge than maybe last year even?
I feel it's even. Like, I think our third and fourth lines have been that good for us too. I think we're both better.
Paul, second row. Go ahead, Dave.
Paul, Sam Bennett said after the game that he thought that you guys played more conservatively, held back when you got the lead, and that was uncharacteristic of you guys. Did you feel that way?
I think at 3-2, not at 3-1, we're driving play at that point where we're good with it. I like it. That'll go back to not in terms of defensive positioning or our play without the puck. I thought we were a little safe with the puck.
Right side, second row.
Paul, I'm curious. I mean, start of overtime, you guys were generating a lot there, and then it flipped. When it flipped and they were able to pressure, what did you see, and why was it hard for you guys to? You got it back a little bit, but eventually, why was it hard for you to get it back when they kept pushing there?
For the same reason it was hard for them to stop it when we came out of the gate, right? Like you get into the flow of the game play, and what I mean by that is you get into icing some pucks or half icing, and they get the advantage. It's kind of like the start. Their breakouts are tough. We're on them, transitioning. I thought we had the flow of the play in the first part of that. They had the flow of the play in the second.
Take 2 more questions for Coach, front right.
Tough break for Thomas, ends up being critical. As a coach, what do you say to him in a moment like that? Do you
just remind him after the game of being down 0-2 to Toronto, and that line came in and changed everything for us, and how we're not here without Thomas. No, so it's a tough break. So we just make sure he doesn't eat alone tonight. He's got lots of people sitting at his table and reminding him of how good he's been to us, and it's going to be tough when he's going to eat that one for a day. But he's from his penalty kill to again, that line really changed the flow of that Toronto series. Just we'll remind him of that a whole bunch of times before the puck drops.
Last question, front right.
Paul, each team dominated for so many long stretches in the run up to this final. You guys in the East, them in the West. And then you have the first game of the Cup final that I feel represents the quality of this series, where neither team gets to dominate for too long, back and forth all night. Is this what this series is going to be?
I think so. I mean, it's potential just a spectacular 7-gamer right up and down the ice. It's still fast. There's not any casualness, and there's no BS in either team's game. The pucks go deep that are supposed to go deep. I mean, I think we had 1 all night we didn't like, maybe 2 all night that we didn't like our decision at the line. They didn't fool around with it either. It was honest, it was hard, it was fast, and it was tight. It was an overtime game.
Thank you for your time, Coach.
Very well said on the last answer.
I don't want you eating alone either, Jimmy, after the show.
That was just a really well-played, spectacular hockey game. And, it's almost lost now in everything that happened afterwards in the Oilers' comeback and the heroics in overtime by McDavid and Draisaitl. But, if Florida had won in a tighter game, we would have all looked back to that point after the Oilers jump out to the 1-0 lead, where it's goal, challenge, penalty, goal, and that looked like a potential TSN turning point. What I'm curious about to you guys, do you think it was the right move to challenge?
It was for me right away. We were sitting in the room, and I said, they got to challenge that because, again, being the goaltender hugger, so I will admit that. But the goaltender has to be afforded an opportunity to make the save. He can't do that because Sam Bennett turns him in the crease. Now, they rule that Kulak, if you watch his left skate, that trips Sam Bennett. Now, he didn't make a huge effort to try and, hey, I'm going to avoid the goaltender.
Sam's brilliant at that.
No, he is brilliant at that. But, the call stands, and immediately we see the effect of it, which could have been the TSN turning point.
It could have been, but the Edmonton Oilers did not allow that to be the TSN turning point, so give them a lot of credit. But you said something there about Sam Bennett, where he didn't necessarily try to stop his momentum from hitting Stuart Skinner. That's the reason why you make the challenge there. Because there's moments where, yes, some contact can be made, but if the player has like a 2-second lead up before they hit the goaltender, that's a very worthy and valid challenge. Now, it doesn't go the Edmonton Oilers' way. They win the game. So, we're not going to talk about it in the grand context of how the game ended up, but it was noteworthy at the least.
I think it was the right call to make a challenge on the play because there was an impact on Stu Skinner, but I also think that the determination that it was a good goal was the right call. And they took no time whatsoever. I don't believe that Brett Kulak intentionally tripped Sam Bennett. And maybe Sam Bennett does exaggerate the fall into Skinner a little bit. But when you're looking at that in the Situation Room, I think you can determine that Bennett didn't go in 100%. There on his own.
100%. Let's hear from Matthias Ekholm.
Draisaitl didn't score in the final last year. Now we know he was hurt. He was battling through something. But
what does it mean for him and for you guys to see him have the game they did? Not just the winning goal, but get you guys going initially too.
Yeah, I think he is a top 3 player in the world. I think that's what he shows, and when he's healthy, it's a great thing for our club, and I don't think we win that game today without him. So he's a game breaker for us. He's a game changer for us, and not on, like you're saying, like, yeah, he scores the goals and the winners, whatever, but he does so much little stuff on the defensive side of the puck too, which me as a defensive defenseman, if you call it, really enjoys, and I really enjoy playing with him out there because I know he's got my back.
Did anything surprise you about the way he steps up tonight, given his playoffs, given his regular season?
No, not at all. Short answer on that one. No.
What's it like to see that puck go in overtime? How do you describe the emotions?
I didn't see it go in. I saw the pass got to Leon, and then guys started jumping on the bench. I didn't see it. I turned around and celebrated, and it's just, yeah, relief, obviously. And but again, it's one game. We know we have to be even better come next game, and just keep grinding.
Just tell you about how the series is going to go.
Tight checking. I think that there's 2 very experienced lineups with a lot of playoff experience and been in these situations. Everybody's pretty confident and comfortable in these. So I think it's going to be a lot of the same.
What did you see under McDavid? Did you and Connor kind of lock eyes at any point there?
No, not that I know, but sometimes he's got eyes in his neck, so you never know, right? No, he obviously put it on a platter for me. I kind of had to score that one. It was a beautiful pass, beautiful setup by Cappy too. They're giving it to Connor, and he's coming down. And I know from playing with him that if he has the puck low, you have some defenders locking eyes with him, so trying to sneak back on that backside. And yeah, we're able to put it home, so it's nice.
Made about that available for the series, but to have kind of Leon, maybe Vander Kane shooters, that kind of maybe offset some of your stats a little bit. The fact that you guys have guys that are helping, that's maybe more positive.
Yeah, well, those will be the obvious you look at, but I think we have some depth as well that are playing really well for us. I mean, you look at Arvidsson today with the goal. I thought Kapanen played really well. Janmark playing really well. Like, we got guys that are stepping up from everywhere in the lineup, and that's such a huge thing when the games go these long too. You have to be rolling guys, and you can't just heavily rely on your top guys. You have to have that role on the bench. And I think everybody was involved in this win, and it showed.
Now, Panthers goaltender Sergei Bobrovsky.
How do we start? Winning goal. What did you see on that play?
It was backdoor play.
Was it just a couple of really good players making a good play on the power play there? Is there much you could have done there? What do you think?
Yeah, they got a good offense, so we knew that they got a good team. So it's a good challenge for us, and it was a tight game. I thought our guys we did a great job defend. We had great kills in the first and the second. So I thought there was lots of good things, and we just put it behind us and get ready for the next game. The next game is a big game.
It's not something you guys typically do when you have a lead. You typically are able to push and keep that lead. What did you see in the third period?
It's a hockey, it's everything could happen. So it's they're a good team. They played well, as we are. So it's overtime. Again, they score in the overtime. It's a tight game, and we're gonna get ready for next one.
The OT heroes, Draisaitl and McDavid at the podium now.
Connor, I know you guys finished it off, but just a thought in the second period of the work that Stuart Skinner did when you guys were under duress and how he gave you a puncher's chance tonight.
He was great again. Gave us a chance to win. That's all you ask from your goalie, and made some big saves there in the second, in overtime. Gave us a chance.
Right side, front row.
Connor, the guy beside you now has 3 overtime goals in in the postseason. Had some great defensive work in a couple of rounds too. How would you quantify, his postseason so far?
You can't put a number on it. He's invaluable. Does so many good things. Clutch, face-offs, you name it, he does it. Doesn't get enough respect or credit for his defensive abilities. When he's dug in, there's not many better, maybe nobody better.
Right side, front row.
Leon, can you, we watched your team play 3 series here, and the game looked different tonight. Obviously, Florida's really good. I get that. But can you quantify how much harder it was to play against them, how much harder it was to execute with the way you guys want to play against that team?
Yeah, I mean, they bring a different challenge than the rounds prior. Every team has their identity. Every team, plays their own style, and obviously they're an aggressive team. They're in your face. That's what makes them who they are, and we got to find a way to beat that. And I thought it was a pretty evenly played game. Obviously, we got it done when it mattered, but yeah, they're obviously a good team.
Left side, front row.
Leon, Kasperi told us in the locker room just now that he thought this was maybe his last chance in the NHL. What has he brought to your group since he's arrived?
A lot. Like he seems to be a player that you can kind of plug in any spot. He kills penalties when you need him to. Obviously, his speed creates a lot of confusion for oppositions, and when he's confident and playing the way that he has been, he's really tough to handle. Obviously, yeah, we took a chance on him, and it's paid off big time for us.
Right side, front row.
Hey, Connor. Matthias Ekholm looked like he may not be available for you guys in the playoffs. He comes in here, second game, plays 25 minutes, scores a tying goal. Just want a thought on how big it is to have him back and what you're seeing out of him right now.
Yeah, massive to have him back, obviously. Not only for what he does on the ice, but also off the ice. Big-time leader in that room. Impressive to step in at the most difficult time of the year, after missing time. So can't give him enough credit for how hard he's worked to put himself in this position. The medical staff to get him back. It's been a full team effort to get him back here to this point, and big goal, obviously. But I thought he played great overall.
Left side, front row.
Yeah, Connor, can you speak to the poise that your team showed down 3-1? A year ago was your first Cup final for the core. 12 months later, could you feel that experience helping in a moment like tonight where you understand what this stage is about now?
Yeah, I think Florida has closed out games extremely well. Obviously, we put ourselves in a tough spot. I thought maybe with a little bit of luck, maybe the call goes different on the first one. They score on the power play and find a way to get one off the rush, too. So put ourselves in a tough spot. I thought it was a massive goal from RV, massive. Timely, and we just hung in there. And I think that that is experience, as you said. Just knowing that you don't got to open it up. We don't need to. We got to hold them at 3 and find a way to get one. And unfortunately, we did.
Right side, second row.
Leon, your goal. I wonder if you could just take us through that and some of the passes that were made before the puck got to you as well, and what that meant for that play.
I mean, that's the whole goal right there. Obviously, I'm standing over there watching this whole thing unfold, and I'm the beneficiary, but the work is done way before that. It's four really good plays in a row, pairs with a great play to Davo, and then amazing pass over, and then obviously I'm the beneficiary, but lots of great plays on that play.
Take a few more. Left side, fourth row.
Leon, you tied the NHL record for most overtime goals in one year with your teammate Corey Perry. I ran into your parents just afterwards, and they were actually behind the net where you scored. What does it mean? I know you're NHL, you're obviously an adult, but having your parents here at the biggest time and being able to score in front of them.
I mean, it's everything. They just like any hockey parent that's in this situation. They've sacrificed time. Money, whatever you want to call it, but it's special to have them here. Special for them to be a part of this and have them around. And obviously it worked out well that they got a front row seat there.
Right side, second row, Mike.
Yeah, Leon, just wondering what's it like to get this chance again and being a little healthier and not as banged up as maybe you were 12 months ago?
Yeah, it feels good. I think that goes for a lot of our guys. We obviously, some of our guys got pretty banged up early last year in the playoffs, and sometimes the fatigue just seems to set in a little bit quicker. So it's nice to feel good and healthy, and hopefully it stays that way.
Two more, left side, third row.
Connor, I know Leon already talked about Kapanen's contribution, but you got a goal from Arvidsson, Podkolzin had an assist, Kapanen had 2 assists. For those guys to, contribute in that way in Game 1 of the Stanley Cup Final, can you kind of just talk about what kind of boost that was for you guys?
It takes everyone. I mean, how many times are we going to say that? It takes everybody, obviously. And I thought that whole Janmark line was dangerous all night. I thought they were a big difference maker. They could have been the difference maker in overtime. I thought they were the only line that was generating. Arby with a big goal, as I said. Podsy makes a great play. Janmark is doing what he does. Cap as well. That would have been a pretty special goal there if he had put that breakaway in. That was a beautiful little rush. So we got lots of players who are playing well at the right time. All good stuff.
Last one, left side, second row.
You can describe the emotion of getting a winning goal in overtime in a Stanley Cup final game.
Yeah, it's tough to describe. You're obviously locked in, and especially on the power play, you're looking to finish it, and some incredible plays that made it pretty easy for me to put that home. So yeah, it's a special feeling. It's great for right now, but we got to look ahead and get ready for Game 2.
Thanks a lot, guys.
Tell you what, the best player in the world also leads the world in mildly salty answers after victories in the Stanley Cup playoffs.
Get impatient.
And I do get it, because when you're doing this for 2 months, there's only so many questions. So your defensive play has improved. How has your depth been? How was Stuart Skinner tonight? There's about 6 questions that they hear after every single game.
Plus, he's got the cold tub at home. He's got to get the recovery. This is the Stanley Cup Final.
Yeah,
cold tubs at home.
Like he was
chiropractors at home.
Everybody's.
It's time to go.
Yeah, honestly, it's amazing because everybody else has got the hat on backwards, and Draisaitl's got the sweatshirt on. McDavid's got a suit on. He's ready to go. He's saying, hey, I got to get home here. I got stuff to do. So he looked very impatient. I will
it's
say
called
that.
active recovery.
Yes, that's what
active recovery.
By the way, Draisaitl is writing a pretty legendary clutch script in these playoffs now. The Oilers are 4-0 in overtime games in these Stanley Cup playoffs. Draisaitl has 3 winners and the first assist on the other one, which is something.
It really is something. And, among the many things that you look to that maybe will make this series different, Leon Draisaitl being healthy is one of those. But the fact that they scored 4 goals in Game 1 is really significant. It took them 3 games to get 4 goals in last year's series against the Florida Panthers. They got shut out in Game 1. They got 1 in Game 2. Now it feels like you got a little something going here where you got 1 on the power play. You got some production at 5-on-5. Leon Draisaitl's feeling good. And so now everyone gets that mojo. We talk about momentum all the time. Does it carry over? Does it not carry over? We can have that argument. Ask Jim Hiller and the Los Angeles Kings if they think momentum carries over from game to game. I'm sure they'll give you an answer based on the way that series went. But this is a nice development for the Edmonton Oilers that they have been this productive offensively this year, considering last year it was really hard for them to get up and running that way.
And one of the cliches a bunch of them used, which is true, is the Panthers will be better in Game 2 because we've watched them now for 3 years, and they're always better after a loss. So the last person we'll hear from is the coach of the Edmonton Oilers. Here's Chris Knoblauch.
Hi, Chris. Can you take us through what you were seeing on the bench when you made that challenge on the first goal, and do you have any...
I challenge that any day. Actually, challenge it. I was on the bench. I wasn't even looking at it again. I was getting ready for my next lines, and I see her fall in. Told he was tripped. So I feel that play happen again, I would challenge it. I feel what I've seen through the NHL this year, and this year, on the challenges, the goaltender interference, that I have a lot of confidence in challenge that again.
Stay in that same row, Derek.
Hey, Chris, we've talked about Mattias Ekholm and how you weren't sure if you were going to get him for the playoffs, and now he comes back, plays 25 minutes tonight, scores a massive goal for you guys. Can you just maybe give a thought on how big it is to have him back in the lineup for your group?
Matthias is so important to our team. You know, here's a guy that's been on the power play, penalty kill, and that's probably the biggest area that we've missed him on the penalty kill, but also just a steady defender, whether it's playing against other teams' top lines, helping contribute some offense, moving the puck out well. You know, he's such a smart hockey player, but hard to play against. He's heavy. It's tough to get to the net, tough to beat him. Very rarely makes mistakes. So tonight, Eki is good at scoring goals, and offensive numbers would be much higher if we had him on the first unit power play, but he's not needed there. But in other situations, he would, or other teams, he's probably in that situation. But anyways, we're very fortunate to be playing long enough that he had the opportunity to come back, and obviously, when he's healthy, we welcome with open arms.
Left side, front row.
Chris, Kasperi Kapanen talked about how he thought that this could have been his last chance when he came to Edmonton. What have you seen from him? What did you see before? What did the organization like about him, and what has he given you?
Well, there's a player that we were interested in last July, hoping that, there's a player that we liked how he played, the speed, tenacity, can play with skilled players, and, just never had a really good fit. And, through the regular season, he had some ups and downs and just wasn't able to play well enough to really gain some momentum. Not that he was ever bad, but, we always wanted more from him. And, since we inserted him back in the lineup in that Vegas series, he has been playing exactly what we needed. He's been making plays, scoring goals. Tonight, get 2 assists. We've had him on the ice the last minute of games. He's been making some big hits. He's been doing everything, and you want those. He's got all the tools. He's a skilled player. He's a tremendous shot. He's strong. He's very fast. And tonight and throughout the playoffs, he's been playing with a lot of confidence, and he's been helping our team a lot.
Right side, front row.
So there's clearly segments of that game where your team's being challenged by their structure, and then vice versa, kind of back and forth. For a head coach in an opening game of a series like that, how much of it is a bit of an information overload, and how tough does your job get trying to figure out the things that they challenge you going forward?
Yeah, you could look at every single play and area of the game and what they do in this situation. What do they do here? What does this line do? What does that deep pair do? And really, that information is good, but how much can you use it? How much can you apply in the game? And probably the more you're giving the players, the more of a detriment you are for the players, just because it's information overload, and it ends up being paralysis by analysis, where it's important that the players have the bare minimums. What do they need to know to play at their best? And if you're giving them so much information, the game's not easy to play. It's not free. They're thinking too much, and it should be, playing on their instincts. So obviously there's some things tonight that we'll address that we think that'll help us going forward. But yeah, I think it's most important that coaches just set some guidelines, give some parameters, let the players play, because ultimately that's the most important thing, is that they're playing freely.
Left side, front row.
Yeah, Chris, in terms of the quality of the matchup of this series, overtime in game 1, and they own the second, you own the third, puck over glass in the end is perhaps the moment that decides the game. But in terms of each team and how dominant you've been on your road here, is there a chance that we're seeing what this series is going to be in terms of both teams making each other as uncomfortable as they've been in their path to the final?
Well, there's going to be times each team's going to have their pushes, and to think that we're just going to dominate for 60 minutes is pretty naive from us. They're a really good hockey team, and when they do have their pushes, hopefully we can limit how long that is going to be. We're very fortunate in the second period that Stu made some really big saves in the second because of the quality of chances that they had, and very numerous of them. So, very happy with our guys to stick with it, regroup after the second period, and have a good push in the third period. And for the most part in overtime, I thought we were pretty good there too. But yeah, we know that they've got better, and hopefully we've got some better too.
We'll take a few more. Right side, front row.
Chris, just right here. Did we see the difference tonight between a Leon Draisaitl who was banged up in the Cup final last year and a Leon Draisaitl who was theoretically healthier? Is there a big difference in how that can help your team this year?
Last year, there was certainly he was banged up and not 100%, and I think a lot of our team wasn't also, just because of the way the series went. And I think it was a tough one last year, especially that 7-game segment series against Vancouver, and even the next one against Dallas. But this year, we've had 2 long breaks after series. We finished after 5, gave us a lot of time to recover, and just helped everybody. And the injury aspect, we're pretty fortunate right now. Only missing a Hyman. But everyone's pretty good to go. So, and I don't think we could say that last year. So, so it's definitely a benefit for us.
Right side, second row.
Chris, when you get the overtime and you get the power play with 2 minutes to go in the first overtime, are you thinking, lucky break over the glass, we have to score here? This is our chance. We don't want it going any deeper than this.
Well, it's definitely an opportunity for us to finish the game, but I don't think it was a situation where that was our only chance. And, if we didn't score there, I felt we could score after that. I don't think it was now or never. But it was nice to see them get the power play goal when they did, because I think last year our power play struggled early and not scoring goals. But I think early in the series, our power play was really good and did pretty much everything but put the puck in the net. Some goal posts, some good quality chances. The goalie probably made some saves. And then, then it kind of builds. Like, you didn't score the previous game, and then it starts to weigh on your mind. The other team gets a lot of confidence. Tonight, nice to see that us get a big goal the way we did. And, it was a pretty nice power play goal too.
Last time the Oilers won Game 1 of a Stanley Cup final was Peter Klima scoring in triple overtime back in 1990. This version hopes the series ends the same way. They beat the Bruins in 5. You can watch all of our post-game show on YouTube. Jay on SC is next.